The afternoon sun filtered through the glass walls of Sterling Enterprises, casting long shadows across the modern cafeteria. Olivia Bennet sat across from her best friend Rebecca Torres, pushing a Caesar salad around her plate without much appetite. The hum of conversation surrounded them, but Olivia felt disconnected from it all, trapped in her own thoughts. Rebecca set down her fork and leaned forward, her dark eyes studying her friend with concern. They had known each other since university, and Rebecca could always tell when something was weighing on Olivia's mind. The silence between them stretched until Rebecca finally broke it. "You've been somewhere else entirely for the past 20 minutes. What's going on in that brilliant mind of yours?" Rebecca asked gently. Olivia glanced around the nearly empty cafeteria. Most people had already returned to their desks, leaving just a few stragglers finishing their late lunches. She took a deep breath, feeling her hands tremble slightly as she gripped her water glass. "Can I tell you something without you thinking I'm completely pathetic?" Olivia whispered, her cheeks already flushing with embarrassment. Rebecca reached across the table and squeezed her friend's hand. "Olivia, you could tell me anything. You know that." The words tumbled out before Olivia could stop them. "I'm 28 years old and I've never been intimate with anyone. I'm still a virgin, Rebecca, and sometimes I feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with me because of it." She waited for shock or pity, but Rebecca's expression remained warm and understanding. "Why would there be anything wrong with you? You're one of the most amazing people I know." Olivia felt tears prick at her eyes. "Because everyone else seems to have figured this out. They date, they fall in love, they have experiences. And I'm just stuck. I've tried dating, Rebecca. I really have. But every time things start getting serious, I panic. Something inside me shuts down because it doesn't feel right." "What doesn't feel right about it?" Rebecca asked softly. Olivia struggled to find the words to explain the feeling that had haunted her for years. "I want someone who sees me as more than just another conquest. Someone who wants to understand my heart before they touch my body. I want to feel safe and cherished and desired all at the same time. I don't want my first time to be meaningless. I want it to matter. I want it to be with someone who truly knows me." Rebecca smiled. "That's beautiful, Olivia. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting that kind of connection. You're not broken. You're just refusing to settle for less than you deserve." What neither woman realized was that every word of their conversation was being absorbed by someone else. In the adjacent conference room, Damian Sterling sat frozen at the head of the mahogany table, his pen hovering over the quarterly report he had been reviewing. The door stood slightly ajar, just enough for voices to carry through from the cafeteria. Damian was known throughout Sterling Enterprises as a brilliant but distant CEO. At 35, he had built his company from a small startup into a multinational corporation worth billions. People respected him, feared him, and admired him, but few actually knew him. He kept his personal life intensely private, maintaining walls that no one could penetrate. But as he listened to Olivia's confession, something inside him shifted profoundly. He knew who she was, of course. She worked as a senior financial analyst in the investments division, and he had seen her around the building countless times. But he had never really looked at her, never truly noticed the quiet grace with which she moved through the world. Now, hearing the vulnerability in her voice and the honesty of her words, Damian felt something he had not experienced in years. It was not just attraction, though there was certainly that. It was a deep, almost painful recognition. Olivia was describing exactly the kind of authentic connection he had convinced himself no longer existed. Damian rose from his chair silently and moved closer to the partially open door. He knew he should not be listening, that this was a private conversation, but he could not pull himself away. He needed to hear more. He needed to understand this woman who had suddenly become the most fascinating person in his world. "Do you think I'm being ridiculous?" Olivia asked Rebecca, her voice small and uncertain. "Holding out for some fairy tale that might not even exist?" "Not at all," Rebecca replied firmly. "You're being true to yourself. And when you do find the right person, they're going to treasure everything about you. They're going to understand what an incredible gift you're giving them." "I hope you're right," Olivia said softly, "because sometimes I feel so alone, like I'm watching everyone else live their lives while I'm stuck on the sidelines, too afraid to jump in. "There's nothing broken about you," Rebecca insisted. "You're just waiting for something real. And that takes courage." Those words hit Damien square in the chest. Courage. When was the last time he had been truly courageous about anything other than business? He had spent years building walls around his heart, telling himself that emotions were weaknesses and attachments were liabilities. He had dated beautiful women, successful women, women who knew exactly what they wanted from him. But those relationships had all felt transactional and empty. What he felt building inside him now was entirely different. Olivia was not looking for wealth or status or power. She was looking for genuine connection, for someone who would see her truly and value her completely. And in that moment, Damien made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. He wanted to be that person for her. He wanted to prove that he could be the man worthy of her trust, her vulnerability, and eventually her love. But he also knew he had to be careful. He could not just approach her directly. As the CEO, any advance from him could seem inappropriate or like an abuse of power. No, he needed to be patient and thoughtful. He needed to show Olivia that he saw her, that he valued her, before he ever revealed his feelings. And so Damien Sterling began to plan his careful pursuit of the woman who had captured his heart with her honesty and her courage to wait for something real. Over the following days, Damien found himself completely consumed by thoughts of Olivia Bennet. He would sit in board meetings supposedly listening to financial projections, but his mind would drift to her. He began noticing things he had never paid attention to before. The way she tucked a strand of her auburn hair behind her ear when she was concentrating. The gentle smile she offered everyone she passed in the hallways. The quiet competence with which she handled every task that came across her desk. Damien had dated before, of course. Beautiful women, accomplished women. Women who knew exactly what they wanted from a billionaire CEO. But those relationships had all felt hollow and performative. There had been attraction, but no real connection. Physical pleasure, but no true intimacy. What he felt building inside him now was entirely different. It was intense and consuming and terrifying in its depth. His business partner and closest friend, James Crawford, noticed the change immediately. One afternoon, James walked into Damien's office to find him staring out the window instead of working on the merger documents spread across his desk. "What's going on with you?" James asked, settling into one of the leather chairs. "You've been distracted all week." Damien turned from the window, debating how much to share. James was one of the few people he truly trusted, but this felt too personal. Too fragile to put into words. "There's a woman," he finally admitted. James's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Well, that's different. Anyone I know?" "Olivia Bennet. She works in investments. And what makes her different from all the others?" James asked with genuine curiosity. Damien struggled to explain. "She's authentic, James. She's not trying to be anything other than who she is. She's not interested in my money or my status. She doesn't even know I exist, not really." James considered this carefully. "So what's your plan?" "I don't know," Damien confessed, running a hand through his dark hair. "I can't just approach her directly. As her boss, any advance from me could seem inappropriate or coercive." "Then you need to be strategic," James said thoughtfully. "Show her you notice her, that you value her, before you ever make your intentions clear. But, Damien, if you really feel something for this woman, don't let fear stop you. You've built an empire by taking calculated risks. Maybe it's time to take a risk on something that actually matters." Damien knew James was right. He had spent his entire adult life playing it safe when it came to his heart, keeping everyone at arm's length. But Olivia had awakened something in him that refused to be ignored. The next morning, Olivia arrived at her desk to find a perfect latte waiting for her, prepared exactly how she liked it with almond milk and a hint of vanilla. She looked around, confused, but no one seemed to know where it had come from. It happened again the next day, and the day after that. Then came the books. Olivia had a habit of reading during her lunch breaks, usually classic literature or contemporary fiction. One day, a first edition of her favorite novel appeared on her desk with a small card that read, "For the woman who believes in real connections." Olivia's heart raced as she picked up the card, studying the elegant handwriting. She knew somehow that these gifts were from Damien Sterling, though he never acknowledged it directly. She would catch him watching her sometimes from across the office, and when their eyes met, he would give her a small smile that made her pulse quicken. Rebecca teased her mercilessly about it. "He's totally into you, Olivia. A blind person could see it, but why?" Olivia insisted, her voice filled with confusion. "We've barely spoken. He could have any woman he wants. Why would he be interested in me?" What Olivia did not know was that Damien had learned everything he could about her. He had read every report she had ever written, admiring the thoroughness and insight in her analysis. He had discreetly asked colleagues about her, learning that she was kind, hard-working, and respected by everyone who knew her. Damien began creating reasons to interact with her. He needed her input on investment strategies. He wanted her opinion on a new market initiative. He requested her presence at meetings where her expertise was valuable but not strictly necessary. Slowly, carefully, he began breaking down the walls between them. Then everything changed the day Tyler Morrison joined the company. He was hired as a senior executive to oversee cross-departmental projects, which meant he would be working closely with the investments team and, by extension, with Olivia. Tyler was handsome in a conventional way, with sandy blonde hair, hazel eyes, and an easy confidence that bordered on arrogance. He made his interest in Olivia obvious from the moment they met during a team introduction meeting. "Olivia Bennett," he said, extending his hand with a charming smile. "That's a beautiful name for a beautiful woman." Olivia shook his hand politely, feeling uncomfortable with the immediate forwardness. "Thank you. Welcome to Sterling Enterprises." Over the following days, Tyler made every effort to get close to Olivia. He asked her to lunch repeatedly, complimented her appearance constantly, and found excuses to stop by her desk multiple times a day. Olivia was polite but distant, clearly uninterested in his advances. But Tyler was aggressively persistent. Damien noticed immediately. He watched with growing anger as Tyler lingered near Olivia's desk, leaning too close, touching her arm unnecessarily. The jealousy that rose in Damien was primal and consuming. He had never felt such possessive fury before. One afternoon, Damien was passing by the break room when he heard Tyler's voice, smooth and insistent. "Come on, Olivia. Just one dinner. I promise I'll make it worth your time." "I appreciate the offer, Tyler, but I'm not interested in dating right now," Olivia replied, her voice firm but kind. "Is there someone else?" Tyler pressed. "Because I haven't seen you with anyone around here." "That's personal," Olivia said, and Damien could hear the discomfort in her voice. Something in Damien snapped. He walked into the break room, his presence immediately commanding attention. "Miss Bennett, I need to see you in my office immediately. We have urgent matters to discuss." Olivia looked relieved. "Of course, Mr. Sterling." As they walked toward the elevator, Damien could feel the tension radiating through his body. His jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. His hands were balled into fists at his sides. Once they were alone in the elevator, Olivia spoke softly. "Thank you for that. Tyler has been quite persistent, and I wasn't sure how to handle it." Damien turned to look at her, and the concern in her beautiful blue eyes only intensified his feelings. "Has he been making you uncomfortable?" "A little," Olivia admitted. "He's not a bad person, I think. He just doesn't seem to understand that I'm not interested." "If he continues to bother you, I want you to tell me immediately," Damien said, his voice intense. "No one should make you feel uncomfortable in your workplace." Olivia studied his face, clearly seeing the emotion there. "Why do you care so much?" The question hung between them. Damien knew this was a moment of truth. He could deflect, make up some excuse about employee welfare and company policy, or he could be honest. "Because I care about you, Olivia," he said quietly. "More than I probably should." Her eyes widened in shock, and Damien watched a dozen emotions flicker across her face. Surprise, confusion, fear, and something else that looked like hope. Before she could respond, the elevator doors opened onto his floor. They had reached the executive level, but neither of them moved. "I know this is complicated," Damien continued. "I'm the CEO, and there are power dynamics to consider. But I can't stop thinking about you, Olivia. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since I first really saw you. When was that? Olivia whispered. Damien hesitated. Should he tell her about overhearing her confession? Would she feel violated or betrayed? A few weeks ago, he said carefully. I realized I had been blind to something extraordinary right in front of me. Olivia stepped out of the elevator and Damien followed. His office door was just down the hall, but they stood in the empty corridor, the space between them charged with unspoken feelings. Damien, I don't know what to say, Olivia admitted, using his first name for the first time. This is all so unexpected. You don't have to say anything right now, Damien assured her. But Olivia, I want you to know that I see you. I see how kind you are, how intelligent, how genuine, and I want the chance to know you better, if you'll let me. Olivia looked up at him, her blue eyes searching his face. I'm scared, she whispered, of what I feel when I'm with you. You make me feel things I've never felt before, and it's overwhelming. Damien resisted the urge to pull her into his arms right there in the hallway. I feel it too, this intensity between us. It's not something I've ever experienced either. But, Olivia, I promise you this. I will never hurt you. I will be patient. I will wait for you to be ready. What if I'm never ready? Olivia asked, voicing her deepest fear. What if I'm too damaged or too scared to give you what you deserve? You're not damaged, Damien said firmly. You're careful with your heart, and that's admirable. And as for what I deserve, Olivia, I don't deserve you. But I'm going to spend every day trying to become the man worthy of you. Despite Damien's declaration, Olivia remained uncertain for days afterward. She was drawn to him in ways she had never experienced before. Every time she saw him in the office, her heart would race. Every time he smiled at her, warmth would flood through her body. But she was also terrified. Terrified of the intensity of his interest. Terrified of her own inexperience. Terrified of getting hurt. Meanwhile, Tyler refused to give up his pursuit. He continued approaching Olivia, seemingly oblivious to her lack of interest. The situation reached a breaking point one Thursday afternoon when Olivia went to the archives room in the basement to retrieve some old investment files. The archives room was tucked away in a quiet corner of the building, rarely used by anyone. Olivia was reaching for a box on a high shelf when she heard footsteps behind her, making her jump. Need some help with that? Tyler's voice startled her. Victoria turned to find him standing uncomfortably close, blocking her path to the door. No, thank you. I've got it, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Tyler stepped closer. Olivia, why do you keep pushing me away? I know you feel the chemistry between us. Tyler, please. I've told you I'm not interested. I need you to respect that, Olivia said firmly, moving to step around him. But Tyler reached out and grabbed her arm, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop her. Just give me one chance to show you what you're missing. Let go of me, Olivia said, her voice rising with fear. The door to the archives room flew open with such force that it slammed against the wall. Damien stood in the doorway, and Olivia had never seen such raw fury on anyone's face. Take your hands off her right now, Damien commanded, his voice deadly quiet but filled with rage. Tyler released Olivia immediately, stepping back. Mr. Sterling, I was just trying to help her with the files. Do not lie to me, Damien growled, advancing into the room. I heard her tell you to let her go. If I ever see you touch her again without her permission, you'll be out of this company so fast you won't know what hit you. Tyler held up his hands in surrender. I didn't mean anything by it. I apologize. Your apology means nothing to me, Damien said. Get out and stay away from Olivia. After Tyler left, Damien turned to Olivia, and the anger in his face immediately transformed into concern. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? Olivia shook her head, though she was trembling. No, I'm fine. Just shaken up. Thank you for coming when you did. Damien crossed the distance between them and gently took her face in his hands. Olivia, I can't stand the thought of anyone making you uncomfortable or afraid. You deserve to feel safe always. Looking up into his dark eyes, Olivia felt something inside her shift. This man, this powerful, intimidating man, was looking at her with such tenderness and concern. He had rushed to her defense without hesitation. He cared about her feelings, her safety, her comfort. Damien, she whispered. I'm scared. Of me? He asked, his thumbs gently stroking her cheeks. Of what I feel when I'm with you, Olivia admitted. You make me feel things I've never felt before, and it's overwhelming. Damien pressed his forehead against hers, his eyes closing. I know, I feel it too, this intensity between us. It's not something I've ever experienced either. But Olivia, I promise you I will never hurt you. I will be patient. I will wait as long as you need. In that moment, standing in the dusty archives room with Damien's hands cradling her face, Olivia made a decision. She was tired of being afraid. She was tired of letting fear dictate her life. Damien had shown her nothing but respect, patience, and genuine care. Maybe it was time to take a risk on something real. Take me to dinner, Olivia said. A real dinner away from the office. Just you and me. Tonight. The smile that spread across Damien's face was like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. Tonight. I'll pick you up at 7. Olivia spent hours getting ready, changing outfits multiple times before finally settling on a burgundy dress that made her eyes sparkle. She left her auburn hair down in soft waves and kept her makeup natural. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized the confident woman staring back at her. Damien arrived exactly at 7, looking devastatingly handsome in a tailored navy suit. When Olivia opened the door, he simply stared at her for a long moment. You're absolutely stunning, he finally said, his voice thick with emotion. He took her to an exclusive rooftop restaurant with a breathtaking view of the city lights. They had a private table in a corner surrounded by twinkling candles and soft music. But Olivia barely noticed the elegant surroundings because all her attention was on Damien. They talked for hours, sharing stories from their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Damien told her about building his company from nothing, about the loneliness that came with success, about how empty his life had felt before she came into it. Olivia opened up about her insecurities, her fear of intimacy, her belief that she was somehow wrong for not following the same path as everyone else. You're not wrong, Damien said fiercely, reaching across the table to take her hand. You're brave. You've held on to your values and your standards when it would have been so much easier to compromise. That takes incredible strength. I don't feel strong, Olivia admitted. I feel scared most of the time. Courage isn't the absence of fear, Olivia. It's acting despite the fear, Damien said. And you've been courageous your whole life, whether you realize it or not. After dinner, Damien took her to the rooftop garden of the building. The city sparkled below them like a blanket of stars, and the night air was cool and refreshing. They stood at the railing side by side, and Damien took her hand. Olivia, I need to tell you something, he said, his voice serious. That day in the cafeteria when you were talking to Rebecca, I was in the conference room next door. I overheard your conversation. Olivia felt her breath catch. He had known all along. You heard everything? Yes, Damien admitted. And I know I should have told you sooner. But I was afraid you would think I was only interested in you because of what I heard. But Olivia, that's not it at all. Hearing you speak so honestly about what you wanted made me realize that you were describing the kind of connection I had given up believing existed. You reminded me that real love is still possible. Olivia turned to face him fully. You said love. I love you, Olivia, Damien said without hesitation. I've fallen completely in love with you. I love your kindness, your intelligence, your laugh, the way you bite your lip when you're thinking. I love who you are, every part of you, and I want to be the man you've been waiting for, if you'll have me. Tears filled Olivia's eyes. I love you too, she whispered. I think I've been falling for you since that first day you asked me to your office. But Damien, I'm still scared. I don't know how to do this. We'll figure it out together, Damien promised, pulling her close. We'll go at your pace, whatever that is. I'm not going anywhere, Olivia. I'm yours for as long as you'll have me. He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But Olivia did not want to pull away. She wanted this kiss. Wanted him. Wanted everything they could be together. When their lips met, it was gentle and perfect. Not demanding or aggressive, but tender and full of promise. Olivia felt something inside her unlock, years of fear and doubt melting away in the warmth of Damien's embrace. The weeks following their first date were the happiest of Olivia's life. She and Damien spent every moment they could together, learning each other's rhythms and quirks. He was endlessly patient with her nervousness, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. They went public with their relationship at work, facing down the inevitable gossip together. Damien made it clear in a company-wide meeting that Olivia's professional accomplishments were entirely her own and that anyone spreading rumors would face consequences. When Tyler made one final attempt to undermine their relationship by spreading false rumors to the board of directors, Damien terminated his employment immediately. He would not tolerate anyone disrespecting Olivia. 6 months after their first date, Damien took Olivia back to the rooftop restaurant where they had first confessed their love. Under the stars, with the city lights twinkling below them, he dropped to one knee. "Olivia Bennett," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You are my best friend, my partner, my everything. You make me want to be a better man every single day. Will you marry me?" Olivia was crying too hard to speak, so she simply nodded, her hands shaking as Damien slid the most beautiful sapphire ring onto her finger. "Is that a yes?" he whispered, standing and pulling her into his arms. "Yes," Olivia laughed through her tears. "Yes, 1,000 times, yes." 1 year later, Olivia Sterling stood in the nursery of their new home, rocking gently in the chair by the window. In her arms, their 3-month-old son, Lucas, slept peacefully. Damien appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with a soft smile on his face. "How are my 2 favorite people?" "Perfect," Olivia whispered. "Absolutely perfect." Damien crossed the room and kissed Olivia's forehead, then gently stroked Lucas's soft cheek. "I still can't believe how lucky I am. I have everything I ever wanted right here." Olivia looked up at her husband, her heart overflowing with love. "Do you remember that day you overheard my conversation with Rebecca?" "Every word," Damien admitted. "That was the day my life changed." "Mine too," Olivia said. "I was so scared back then. Scared I would never find what I was looking for. Scared I was somehow wrong for wanting more than just a casual connection. And now," Damien asked softly, "now I know that waiting was the best decision I ever made," Olivia said, "because it led me to you, to this life we've built together, to Lucas, to everything." Damien knelt beside the rocking chair and wrapped his arms around both Olivia and their son. "I promise to spend every day of my life making sure you never regret choosing me." "I could never regret choosing you," Olivia said, leaning into his embrace. "You're my person, Damien. My forever." As they sat together in the soft glow of the nursery, holding the precious life they had created, both Damien and Olivia knew they had found something rare and beautiful. They had found true love built on patience, trust, and genuine connection. And it had been worth every moment of waiting,